Welcome back my YouTube channel Old Coin Zee Collection. Today, we're going to talk about one of the most interesting and valuable coins in the 1986 USA 1-cent coin that shocked the world with its unbelievable value. Watch this video carefully. Who knows, you might be holding one in your hands right now, and full details: country USA period United States of America 1981. 2024 currency United States dollar coin type circulation coins denomination 1 cent year 1986 subject Lincoln cent composition copper plated zinc edge type smooth shape round alignment coin 180 degrees weight G 2.5 diameter mm 19.05 thickness mm 1.55. Stay tuned till the end as I'll reveal key signs to identify this rare coin and how you can check its value. Let's begin. The 1-cent coin, commonly known as the Lincoln penny, has been in circulation for over a century. Issued by the United States Mint, this humble coin usually holds no more than face value. However, rare errors, misprints, or historical factors can transform it into a treasure worth millions. This penny, minted in 1986, carries extraordinary characteristics that make it a 1 in a billion find. But why is it so valuable? Let's explore. Back in 1986, the United States Mint produced billions of pennies. But among them, a few rare errors occurred during production. These unique errors were unnoticed and released into circulation. Years later, sharp-eyed collectors discovered them, and the coin market went wild. This 1986 1-cent coin features a double die error, where the design appears duplicated slightly due to a misalignment during minting. This rare error is extremely sought after by collectors. Coins in pristine, uncirculated condition increase in value dramatically. A 1986 coin graded at MS67 or higher could be worth millions. Out of billions, only a handful of such error coins exist, making it incredibly rare that, as the saying goes, rarity and condition determine the value of any coin. This penny is both. In recent years, a rare 1986 1-cent coin with a perfect error and grade went up for auction. Collectors from around the world bid furiously, driving its final price to a staggering $8.5 million. Records from major auction houses like Heritage Auctions and professional coin graders confirm this incredible sale. The buyer, a private collector, recognized the coin's unmatched rarity. Imagine holding such a coin in your hand. One that could change your life forever. Could it be sitting in your jar of spare change? Now let's get to the most important part. How you can identify this valuable coin. Look closely at the coin's date. It must be 1986. Examine the coin carefully under good lighting or a magnifying glass. Look for a slight duplication or shadowing effect on the date, lettering, or Lincoln's profile. The coin's condition matters. Coins with scratches or damage lose value. Coins graded MS65 or higher are the most valuable. If you think you have a rare coin, send it to trusted coin grading services like PCGS or NGC. Professional grading confirms its authenticity and condition. Take out your old coin collection and start searching. You might strike gold. So, have you checked your pockets or your piggy banks yet? Let me know in the comments if you have a 1986 penny. You never know, it could be worth millions. I want you all to like this video. And valuable coins in the 1975 1-cent coin is often called the penny. It features the right-facing bust of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. The top part of the coin reads, "In God We Trust," and on the right side is the 1975 inscription, and on the left side is the word liberty. If present, you'll find a mint mark below the year. On the reverse, you'll find the image of the Lincoln Memorial front view. You then see the various inscriptions that include the following: United States of America, top, 1 cent, bottom, E pluribus unum. On top of the Lincoln Memorial, the first U.S. penny was first produced in 1787. It has gone through different design changes. Some of the designs it featured in the past include the flowing hair chain, liberty cap, draped bust, and flying eagle. The Lincoln design was used in 1909, which coincided with the president's 100th birthday. This has replaced the Indian head cent. However, the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse was later adopted in 1959 to replace the wheat stalks image. Did you know that the penny is the most produced coin in the United States? Not only that, but the Lincoln penny was the first time that the U.S. used a portrait as part of a design. Prior to 1909, it was always the mythical Liberty that was featured on the coin. This led to other coins being changed to bear portraits of other people. The 1975 Lincoln penny comes in various designs. However, the main differential character would be their mint mark. There are also some pennies that have errors, giving rise to other varieties that give you an idea. Here are some of the most well-known 1975 pennies. Type: Lincoln penny year, 1975 mint mark. None quantity produced, 5,451,476,142 face value. 1 cent price, 1 cent to $9. Or more. The Lincoln penny with no mark was struck in Philadelphia. There were over 5 billion of these pennies that were struck. With a face value of 1 cent, you might be able to sell one of these for as much as $9, depending on your coin status. Type: Lincoln penny year, 1975 mint mark. D quantity produced, 4,505, 275,300 face value. 1 cent price, 1 cent to $30. Or more. The 1975 D penny is seen to be more valuable than the other standard varieties. Collectors would value those coins with mint state certifications. The mint mark is D, which indicates it was made in Denver. More than 4.5 billion of these coins were struck. Year: 1975 mint mark. S quantity produced, 2,845,000 face value. 1 cent price, 1 cent to $5 or more. 1975 S penny is usually sold for its face value, which is 1 cent. However, certified mint state S pennies can be sold for $5.00. The S mint mark represents San Francisco, and almost 3 million of the S variety were struck. There were a few known errors that happened during the minting of the Lincoln penny. With billions of pennies produced, it is expected that some were not minted properly. We're diving into the story of a coin you might just have lying around in your old drawers. This coin, 1959 Lincoln cent. Is it just 1 cent? Or is it secretly worth $1 or even more? Stay tuned as we break down the history, the value, the rare errors, and why collectors are hunting for this iconic piece of American coinage. Let's rewind the clock. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. But in 1959, a huge change happened. That year marked the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The U.S. Mint decided to retire the original wheat ears on the reverse and replace them with the Lincoln Memorial. This was more than just a design change. It marked a shift in how Americans saw their currency. Designed by Frank Gasparo, the Lincoln Memorial reverse symbolized Lincoln's lasting legacy. For the first time, both the obverse and reverse featured Lincoln, a first for U.S. coinage. The obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner, still features Lincoln's right-facing portrait, with "In God We Trust" on top, Liberty on the left, and the date. 1959 on the right. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial stands proud. If you look closely, you can even spot a tiny statue of Lincoln inside the memorial, a detail often missed by casual observers. There were two main mints for the 1959 cent: Philadelphia and Denver. Coins from Denver bear a small D mint mark beneath the date. Now, let's talk value. A 1959 Lincoln cent in circulated condition is usually worth around 1 to 3 cents. But wait, in uncirculated or proof condition, the value can jump dramatically. MS 65 graded coins can sell for $1 or more, sometimes even $5 to $10 for pristine examples. Condition matters. A coin graded MS 67 red can command $50 or more. And if it's a proof coin from the San Francisco Mint, those shiny, mirror-like finishes, the value rises even higher. So yes, your 1 cent coin can be worth $1 or more, depending on how well it's preserved. Collectors go wild over rare mint errors. And 1959 is no exception. Look out for double die obverse. DDO. This is where Lincoln's face, the date, or lettering appears double dot off center strikes, where the coin wasn't properly centered when struck. Wrong planchet errors. Rare cases where a cent was struck on a dime blank point. One of the most controversial coins ever, the 1959 D-Wheat reverse cent, surfaced in 1986. It had the old wheat ears on the back instead of the memorial. Experts argue whether it's real or a masterful fake, but it sold for over $50,000. Coin collecting isn't just a hobby. It's a passion, a journey, and sometimes even a legacy passed through generations. Many collectors start with Lincoln cents because they're accessible, yet full of history. Fun fact: did you know that over 600 million 1959 D Lincoln cents were minted? Yet, collectors still hunt for that one perfect gem coin with full red luster and sharp strike. Color grading also affects value. A bright red coin is usually worth more than a dull brown one. So always store your coins properly. So, is your 1959 Lincoln cent worth $1? It could be, especially if it's in pristine condition or has a rare error. Whether you're a beginner or a seasoned collector, this humble coin is a great reminder that even everyday change can carry a piece of history. The 1977 Lincoln Memorial 1-cent coin. Stick around, because today, we're going to uncover everything you need to know about this rare find, how it came to be so valuable, and how you can spot one of your own. You'll also get tips on how to preserve, authenticate, and even sell rare coins for the best price. So let's get started. First, let's take a moment to appreciate the design of the 1977 Lincoln Memorial 1-cent coin. It features the famous Lincoln Memorial on the reverse side, and on the obverse, we have President Abraham Lincoln's portrait. It's a design that's been a staple of the U.S. Mint for many years, but what makes this particular year so special? The 1977 Lincoln penny isn't particularly rare in general, but there are specific, unique factors that make certain ones from this year worth thousands of dollars. So, what's the story behind the 1977 penny that could fetch $34,670? Well, before we dive into the details, let's talk about the basics. The value of a coin is primarily determined by its rarity, demand, and condition. The 1977 penny is a great example of how those factors come together. Most 1977 pennies are worth only face value, 1 cent. However, a small number of these coins have been known to fetch big bucks at auctions, and here's why. There are several key factors that contribute to the staggering $34,670 price tag on certain 1977 pennies. Let's break them down. First up, condition matters more than anything. A well-preserved, high-grade 1977 penny is more valuable than a worn-out one. Coins are graded on a scale from poor P1 to perfect MS70, with higher grades commanding higher prices. A 1977 penny in gem uncirculated condition, meaning it looks brand new, can make a huge difference in value. Next, we have minting errors. Occasionally, during the minting process, something goes wrong. The 1977 penny has been known to have several rare errors that can drive up its value dramatically. The most valuable 1977 pennies feature double dies or other unusual mistakes. These are what collectors go wild for. This is an example of a double die error. As you can see, the letters and numbers appear doubled, creating a unique and valuable piece. These errors are incredibly rare, and finding one can make your coin worth tens of thousands of dollars. Another important factor is die variety. The 1977 penny was struck using different dies, and some of these dies produced coins with slightly different features. A certain die variety could make a 1977 penny worth much more than you'd expect. And of course, demand plays a big role in a coin's value. The 1977 penny may not have been highly sought after when it was first minted, but now, certain versions are in high demand among coin collectors. Now that we understand what makes a 1977 Lincoln Memorial penny valuable, let's talk about how to spot the rarer versions that could be worth big money. If you happen to have a 1977 penny lying around, here's what to look for. Look closely for signs of doubling or other mint errors. One of the most well-known errors is the double die reverse, which results in a doubled Lincoln Memorial on the back of the coin. If you spot this, you may be holding a coin worth thousands. Next, check the coin's condition. Is it worn down, or does it look almost like it just came out of the mint? A high-grade coin could fetch much more than one in poor condition. Use a magnifying glass to inspect the details carefully. Finally, check the die variety. This requires a little more research, but there are plenty of resources online to help you identify specific dies used in minting 1977 pennies. The rarer die varieties are more valuable. So, now that you know what to look for, let's talk about how to preserve your valuable coins. Proper care and storage can help maintain the coin's condition, which directly affects its value. Keep your coins in a protective holder, like a flip, capsule, or 2x2 holder. Make sure it's made from acid-free material to prevent damage. When handling your coins, always use gloves to avoid getting oils and dirt from your fingers on the surface. Try to avoid cleaning your coins. Cleaning can actually decrease their value. Now, if you think you found a 1977 penny worth a small fortune, you might be wondering, how do you sell it? There are a few options. Point one option is to visit a local coin dealer. However, be sure to shop around and get multiple opinions to ensure you're getting a fair price. Another great option is to auction your coin online. Websites like eBay have a huge coin collecting community, and if your coin is truly rare, it could generate competitive bidding. So, to sum it all up, this coin 1977 Lincoln Memorial 1-cent coin can be worth up to $34,670, but only if it has certain features like minting errors, high-grade condition, or a unique die variety. This coin 1961 1-cent coin from the USA, and in this video, I'll share with you everything you need to know about it, from its fascinating history to its rarity. We're going to explore why this tiny piece of metal could potentially fetch millions of dollars at auction. So sit tight, grab your magnifying glass, and let's get into it. The 1961 1-cent coin, also known as the Lincoln cent, was minted in the United States as part of the long-running series that features President Abraham Lincoln. The Lincoln cent has been in circulation since 1909, and its design has gone through multiple changes over the years. However, the coin we're focusing on today, 1961, might seem like just another regular penny. So why is this one so special? In 1961, the U.S. Mint produced over 1.5 billion pennies. This was during a time when the American economy was booming and people used coins every day. But this particular penny, with its copper composition and the iconic image of Abraham Lincoln, didn't stand out as something extraordinary at first glance. So, why is the 1961 1-cent coin valued at a staggering $3.6 million? It all comes down to a unique variety of this coin that very few people know about, the 1961 double die obverse. This coin is considered a double die error. It occurred during the minting process when the die used to strike the coin experienced a misalignment, causing the image of Abraham Lincoln to be doubled on the coin's obverse. This double image is extremely subtle and requires a keen eye to notice. Although hundreds of millions of 1961 pennies were minted, only a very small fraction of them were struck with this double die error. It's so rare that finding one in good condition is nearly impossible. And because of this, the value of these rare coins skyrockets. In 2018, a 1961 double die obverse coin was sold at an auction for an eye-watering $3.6 million. How did it get to such a high value? Well, it all started when a passionate collector spotted the double die error on a coin he had been collecting for years. Coin collectors around the world obsess over rare errors, and the double die obverse is one of the most sought-after mistakes. The moment this specific 1961 penny hit the auction block, the bidding wars began. After several intense bids, the coin was finally sold for $3.6 million. This sent shockwaves through the numismatic community, showing just how much rare error coins can be worth. Now, let's talk about how you can identify if you found one of these rare 1961 double die obverse coins. It's a little tricky, but with the right tools and knowledge, it's possible. First, grab a magnifying glass or a good quality loupe, because you'll need to see the finer details. Focus on the inscription "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." In a true double die obverse coin, these letters will appear to have a slight shadow or doubling effect. Next, check the date. The doubling should be evident in the 1961 as well. The key feature to look for is the way the numbers and letters are slightly offset from their original strike. It's almost like a blurry shadow effect. Because these errors are rare, always consider having the coin professionally verified. A certified numismatist or a professional grading service can confirm whether it's a true double die obverse and assign it a grade. Finding a rare 1961 double die obverse is one thing, but preserving it is another. To keep your coin in pristine condition, you should store it in a safe, acid-free holder. Avoid touching the coin with your bare hands, as oils from your skin can damage it over time. Keep it in a climate-controlled environment, away from extreme temperatures and humidity, which can cause tarnishing or other forms of deterioration. Collecting rare coins isn't just a hobby, it can be an investment. As we've seen with the 1961 double die obverse, these coins can be worth millions of dollars. But it's important to remember that the market for rare coins fluctuates, and not every rare coin will fetch such a high price. So, if you're serious about coin collecting as an investment, consider seeking out professional advice, doing thorough research, and building a collection based on historical significance and rarity. Now, whether you're a seasoned collector or just getting started, understanding the value and rarity of coins like the 1961 double die obverse is crucial. And who knows, you might just have one in your collection piece of currency. I have an incredibly exciting story for you. We're going to dive into one of the most fascinating coins in American history. This coin 1961 cent coin, which is known to be worth a staggering $3.5 million. Yes, you heard that right. A single penny, made of copper, can be worth millions. So stick around, because this is one video you don't want to miss. Before we begin, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss any of our exciting coin content now. Let's start with the basics. The 1961 cent coin, also known as the Lincoln Memorial Cent, was part of a large series of coins produced by the United States Mint from 1909 to 1958. But what makes the 1960 penny stand out is its rarity and its unique history. If you're thinking about pennies in general, you might not realize that there are some out there that can be worth way more than just 1 cent. Most of us have tossed pennies into jars, but there are certain ones you should definitely keep an eye on. The design of the 1961 cent coin features Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, the front side, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, the back side. The coin's composition was primarily copper, and it weighed around 3.11 grams. Here's where things get really interesting. The 1961 cent coin comes in two distinct varieties, the small date and the large date. Both were minted in 1960, but their design differences are what set them apart. The small date version is particularly rare and highly sought after by collectors. So, how do you spot the difference? Well, it's actually all about the size of the numbers on the coin. The small date has a more compact design for the 9 and 0 in the year 1960, whereas the large date has numbers that are noticeably larger. It's a subtle detail, but to a serious collector, this small difference can make a huge impact on value. But here's where it gets really exciting. The small date variety of the 1960 penny is the one that's the most valuable. In fact, one of these pennies recently sold for over $3.5 million at auction. And you might be wondering, what makes this coin so special? The million-dollar question. Why is this penny worth so much? Well, to understand that, we need to take a deeper look at the history and rarity of the coin. You see, in 1960, the U.S. Mint produced a large number of pennies, but only a few had the small date variety. Initially, most of these coins were thought to be from a simple minting mistake. The small number of these small date coins that survived is what gives them such a high value today. The $3.5 million coin we're talking about was sold at auction by a private collector who had kept it in pristine condition for decades. And in the world of coin collecting, condition is everything. The one that fetched millions was graded at MS 67 by the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, which means it was in near-perfect condition. This was a huge factor in its high price, as collectors and investors are always searching for coins that have been well-preserved. Coin grading can be a whole topic of its own, but to briefly explain, coins are graded based on their condition, which ranges from poor to mint state. An MS 67 grade means that the coin is nearly flawless, which is what makes this specific 1960 small date penny so valuable. So, How can you spot a valuable 1960 penny? Well, first, check the date. As we mentioned, the small date version is the rare one. So if you find a 1960 penny, take a moment to carefully examine the numbers. If you notice the numbers are smaller and closer together, you might just have a winner. If the numbers look larger or more spaced out, you've got a large date, which is still a cool coin, but won't fetch the same value. Also, always pay attention to the condition of the coin. Even a small date coin in poor condition might not reach the same high value as one that's well preserved. Alright, now that you know how to spot a potentially valuable 1960 penny, let's go over a few tips for collecting and preserving your coins. First, always store your coins properly. Use acid-free holders or capsules to protect them from environmental damage like moisture or dirt. The last thing you want is to accidentally ruin the value of a rare coin by mishandling it. Second, if you think you've found a valuable coin, it's always a good idea to have it professionally graded. Not only will it increase the coin's value, but it will also help you confirm its authenticity. Who knew that something as simple as a penny could be worth millions, right? Remember, rare coins can be hidden in plain sight, so always keep an eye out for the next big find. Today, we have something super exciting to talk about. We're going to dive deep into the world of the 1965 1-cent coin, a coin that could be worth a whopping $45,700. Yes, you heard that right. In today's video, we'll explore its history, rarity, and why this coin is so valuable. So, grab your magnifying glass and let's jump into it. Before we get into the specifics of this rare coin, let's take a quick look at the 1965 1-cent coin. As you can see, this coin features Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, and was designed by Victor David Brenner. The iconic design has been used on U.S. pennies since 1909, with Lincoln's portrait on the obverse, the front side, and a simple design of a wheat stalk or memorial on the reverse, back side. But the 1965 penny, well, it's not like any other regular penny. Now, most pennies from this year are worth just 1 cent, right? So what makes this 1965 penny worth such an astonishing amount? Let's break it down. The 1965 1-cent coin is usually worth just 1 cent. But there's a specific error coin that makes this penny a highly sought-after collectible. The 1965 penny is famous for a unique minting error. You see, during this time, the U.S. Mint was transitioning from using 90% copper to a copper-nickel alloy for pennies. However, some pennies were mistakenly struck with the old copper composition, giving them a much heavier weight and a slightly different appearance compared to the regular copper-nickel ones. This specific error coin, known as the 1965 copper penny, has intrigued collectors for decades. Why? Well, because it was never meant to exist. It's one of those rare oops moments in coin history that turned into a treasure for numismatists and collectors. Now, let's talk about rarity. You may wonder how often such coins are found. The 1965 copper penny is considered extremely rare, with only a handful of them known to exist today. According to most estimates, there are fewer than a dozen examples of the coin in private collections or on the market. That's what makes it so valuable. One of the most famous discoveries of a 1965 copper penny happened when a coin collector named Jim C. discovered one in the 1990s. The coin, in near-perfect condition, was sold at auction for a jaw-dropping price of $45,700. And that's how it gained its legendary status. Since then, collectors have been hunting for any more of these elusive error pennies, and their prices have steadily risen. Now, you may be wondering, how do experts and collectors determine the value of a coin like this? Well, the value of rare coins is usually influenced by a few key factors: rarity, demand, condition, and historical significance. For example, even though the 1965 penny itself is not particularly rare in circulation, the copper error pennies are incredibly scarce. Their unique nature drives demand in the collector's market, which is why they can fetch such high prices. To add to that, the condition of the coin also plays a huge role. Coins are graded based on their wear and tear, with terms like good, fine, very fine, and mint state. Coins in near-perfect condition are valued higher, especially if they retain their original shine and details. The 1965 copper penny that sold for $45,700 was in fantastic shape, making it more desirable to buyers. All right, so you may be wondering how you can spot a 1965 copper penny. It's important to note that there's no easy way to visually identify one unless you're really familiar with the subtle differences between copper and copper-nickel. One way to check is by using a magnet. The copper-nickel pennies from 1965 are magnetic, while the copper pennies will not be. This is a great first step if you suspect you might have found one, but remember, if you're serious about finding out if your 1965 penny is one of the rare copper examples, you'll need to have it professionally examined and graded. A reputable coin grading service can verify whether it's a true copper penny, which will make all the difference in its value. So, what if you find one of these rare coins? How do you sell it? And where can you get the best price? The most common places to sell rare coins are through online auction sites, coin dealers, and professional numismatic events. However, you should be prepared to show proof of its authenticity. Whether it's through a grading certificate or a professional appraisal point, one of the best places to sell high-value coins is through reputable auction houses that specialize in rare coins. These places have the expertise and audience to ensure you get the best prices. So, that's the story of the 1965 copper penny that could be worth over $45,000. If you have one in your collection, piece of history, a coin that's small in size but huge in value. You might be holding one of these in your pocket right now without even knowing it, the 1982 US 1-cent coin. But don't let its modest look fool you, because today we're going to reveal how this little coin could be worth a staggering $5 million. Yes, you heard that right. So stay tuned as we break down its history, significance, and how you might just have a treasure in your hands. Let's kick things off with the basics. The 1982 penny, or 1-cent coin, is made of a copper-plated zinc composition, a change from earlier coins made of solid copper. In 1982, the U.S. Mint began transitioning from copper to a zinc-based composition because of rising copper prices, and that's where things start to get interesting. As you'll see, the 1982 penny is the bridge between two important eras in coin production. Now, let's travel back in time to 1982. The United States was going through some significant changes. The penny was going through a major transformation. Before 1982, pennies were made of 95% copper, but starting that year, the Mint made the switch to a 97.5% zinc core coated with copper. This was done in response to inflation and the rising cost of copper, which was becoming too expensive for the Mint to produce the coins at a reasonable cost. And here's the kicker. Not all 1982 pennies are created equal. Some were minted in copper and others in zinc. This is crucial because certain 1982 copper pennies have become extremely rare and highly sought after by collectors. There's a huge difference in value between the two, and this is where the potential for big bucks comes into play. In fact, some of these rare copper pennies have been sold at auction for nearly $5 million. But why is this the case? Let's dive in. Back in 1982, as the Mint was making the transition from copper to zinc, there was some overlap, which means some copper pennies were still struck even after the official switch to zinc. Now, if you're lucky enough to have one of these early copper pennies, you could be sitting on a small fortune. These coins were supposed to be phased out and melted down. But, as with many great stories in numismatics, some of them slip through the cracks. To spot the difference, take a close look at your 1982 penny. You'll notice that the copper versions have a warmer, reddish-brown color, while the zinc version has a lighter, more yellowish hue. But here's the trick. Only a handful of the 1982 copper pennies were actually released into circulation, and only a few remain in great condition. So, if you have one of these copper varieties in excellent condition, it could fetch a jaw-dropping price at auction. Now let's talk money. Why would a 1982 copper penny be worth up to $5 million? Well, it's all about rarity and demand. Since only a small number of these pennies escaped being melted down, they are incredibly rare today. The value of these coins depends on their condition. The higher the grade, the more money you could make. But this is where the mystery deepens, because a coin with a high-grade copper composition could be worth up to $5 million, depending on who's buying and the rarity of the coin in that perfect condition. Let's quickly touch on coin grading. This is one of the most important factors in determining the value of your coin. Coins are graded based on their condition, from good to mint state. The highest grade, proof or mint state 70, is a coin that has been preserved in almost perfect condition. If your 1982 copper penny is graded high enough, it can fetch a pretty penny at auction. Take a look at some of the recent auction results. The highest selling 1982 copper penny was sold for over $5 million. And this wasn't just any penny. This coin was certified as mint state 67, which is extremely rare for a coin that has circulated for decades. So, what are the chances you could have one of these pennies? It's possible, but extremely rare to give us a better understanding of what makes these coins so valuable. I spoke with an expert numismatist. Let's hear what they have to say about this remarkable discovery. Insert interview snippet here, or continue with detailed breakdown by host.so. How can you tell if you have one of these rare 1982 copper pennies? First, carefully inspect the color. A reddish-brown tint is the key indicator. You can also check the weight. The copper version weighs around 3.11 grams, while the zinc version is lighter at 2.5 grams. If you have a scale and a keen eye, you might just discover that your penny is worth much more than a cent now that you've found your potential treasure. It's time to protect it. Proper coin storage is essential. Use acid-free holders and make sure your coins are kept in a cool, dry place. Handling your coins carefully and keeping them in great condition will preserve their value. Let's recap everything we've learned today. The 1982 1-cent coin may look like any other penny, but depending on its composition, it could be worth thousands or even millions of dollars. Collector and history. Coin 1981 United States Lincoln cent. This seemingly ordinary penny minted in Denver, Colorado, holds a special place in the hearts of collectors due to its potential for significant value. Depending on its condition and any existing errors, the base value of a 1981 Lincoln cent in pristine condition is surprisingly low. However, this face value of a mere 1 cent belies the potential for a much larger return as standard. Uncirculated 1960 cent in perfect condition, without any errors, might be worth up to $1,250. This value stems from the coin's inherent rarity and the demand from collectors seeking high-grade examples. The condition is the utmost important factor. Coins graded MS-67 or even MS-68 mint state, representing near perfect preservation, command the highest prices, while circulated coins showing wear and tear will be significantly less valuable. The grading process, typically performed by third-party grading services like the Professional Coin Grading Service PCGS, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation NGC, assesses the coin's condition based on factors such as luster, surface preservation, strike, and the absence of marks or blemishes. But what truly elevates the 1981 Lincoln cent to a realm of greater excitement are the possibilities of error coins, those struck with imperfections during the mining process, are highly prized by collectors. These errors can take many forms, ranging from minor flaws to dramatic abnormalities. The values of error coins are significantly higher than their standard counterparts, often escalating into the thousands of dollars. One particularly desirable error coin, and one that adds to the allure of this particular year in mint mark, is a 1981 1-cent error coin, which could be worth up to $5,500. This error could manifest in several ways: off-center strikes, where the coin's design is not perfectly aligned within the plane. The blank metal disc are relatively common errors. However, the extent of the off-centering determines the value. The greater the degree of off-centering, the rarer and more valuable the coin. Another common error is a double die, a phenomenon where the design is imprinted twice, creating a blurred or doubled appearance to certain elements. This can happen on the obverse, the front featuring Lincoln, or the reverse, the back. The degree and visibility of the doubling determine the coin's value. Other errors to look for might include plane flaws, defects in the blank metal disc before striking, improper metal composition, or die cracks. It is crucial to have such errors authenticated by a reputable grading service to ensure their legitimacy and determine their specific characteristics. Now let us consider the truly remarkable case, a 1981 US 1-cent coin in circulation, the condition and rarity of which could push the value up to a staggering $31,000. It is exceedingly rare for coins found in circulation to reach this kind of value, and the scenario necessitates specific criteria. The most likely circumstance for a coin of this type to be worth this much is the presence of a major and quite significant error. Perhaps it's a major double die error or a significant off-center strike combined with another unusual feature. The coin would need to be graded and authenticated as having significant demonstrable errors that make it incredibly rare. The grading, as mentioned before, is an essential factor in determining the coin's value. Then there is the misprint error, and more precisely called the misstrike error. The presence of a misprint coin or misstrike coin can potentially amplify its value. A 1981 1-cent misprint or misstrike coin might be worth as much as $9,500. These misstrikes can occur when something goes wrong during the striking process. This could involve multiple strikes where the coin receives more than one impression from the dies, or errors related to the planet's composition or defects. These types of error coins are frequently sought after because they represent a deviation from the standard mending process and highlight the imperfections of the coin-making system. As with all error coins, the specific type and severity of the error determine the coin's value. The more dramatic and unusual the error, the more valuable the coin. A misstrike coin could involve an incomplete design or a partial impression. I hope you understand the 1981 USA Lincoln penny. The coin 1981 United States Lincoln cent. This seemingly ordinary penny minted in Denver, Colorado, holds a special place in the hearts of collectors due to its potential for significant value. Depending on its condition and any existing errors, the base value of a 1981 Lincoln cent in pristine condition is surprisingly low. However, this face value of a mere 1 cent belies the potential for a much larger return as standard uncirculated 1960 cent in perfect condition without any errors might be worth up to $1,250. This value stems from the coin's inherent rarity and the demand from collectors seeking high-grade examples. The condition is the utmost important factor. Coins graded MS-67 or even MS-68 mint state, representing near perfect preservation, command the highest prices, while circulated coins showing wear and tear will be significantly less valuable. The grading process, typically performed by third-party grading services like the Professional Coin Grading Service PCGS, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation NGC, assesses the coin's condition based on factors such as luster, surface preservation, strike, and the absence of marks or blemishes. But what truly elevates the 1981 Lincoln cent to a realm of greater excitement are the possibilities of errors. Error coins, those struck with imperfections during the mining process, are highly prized by collectors. These errors can take many forms, ranging from minor flaws to dramatic abnormalities. The values of error coins are significantly higher than their standard counterparts, often escalating into the thousands of dollars. One particularly desirable error coin, and one that adds to the allure of this particular year and mint mark, is a 1981 1-cent error coin, which could be worth up to $5,500. This error could manifest in several ways: off-center strikes, where the coin's design is not perfectly aligned within the plane. The blank metal disc are relatively common errors. However, the extent of the off-centering determines the value. The greater the degree of off-centering, the rarer and more valuable the coin. Another common error is a double die, a phenomenon where the design is imprinted twice, creating a blurred or doubled appearance to certain elements. This can happen on the obverse, the front featuring Lincoln, or the reverse, the back. The degree and visibility of the doubling determine the coin's value. Other errors to look for might include plane flaws, defects in the blank metal disc before striking, improper metal composition, or die cracks. It is crucial to have such errors authenticated by a reputable grading service to ensure their legitimacy and determine their specific characteristics. Now let us consider the truly remarkable case, a 1981 US 1-cent coin in circulation, the condition and rarity of which could push the value up to a staggering $31,000. It is exceedingly rare for coins found in circulation to reach this kind of value, and the scenario necessitates specific criteria. The most likely circumstance for a coin of this type to be worth this much is the presence of a major and quite significant error. Perhaps it's a major double die error or a significant off-center strike combined with another unusual feature. The coin would need to be graded and authenticated as having significant demonstrable errors that make it incredibly rare. The grading, as mentioned before, is an essential factor in determining the coin's value. Then there is the misprint error, and more precisely called the misstrike error. The presence of a misprint coin or misstrike coin can potentially amplify its value. A 1981's 1-cent misprint or misstrike coin might be worth as much as $9,500. These misstrikes can occur when something goes wrong during the striking process. This could involve multiple strikes where the coin receives more than one impression from the dies, or errors related to the planet's composition or defects. These types of error coins are frequently sought after because they represent a deviation from the standard mending process and highlight the imperfections of the coin-making system. As with all error coins, the specific type and severity of the error determine the coin's value. The more dramatic and unusual the error, the more valuable the coin. A misstrike coin could involve an incomplete design or a partial impression. I hope you understand the 1981 USA Lincoln penny. Thanks for watch video. Subscribe my YouTube channel. Old Coin Zee Collection.